Hi Elizabeth, how you doing? All right, so I've got your ad up here, and it looks like you've got three. Let me just download one of these because I want to take a look at the JPEG. Let's still open that up. But while I'm opening that up, I do want to talk about your writing here. Thank you so much for including this writing. This is a really complete artifact recording your experience with the assignment. So this is fantastic. I learned so much about what you're learning as a student just based on your writing. It's so important that students share their experience with any assignment. I think it allows we instructors a really keen insight into your learning process, and this is certainly no exception. I've learned quite a bit here, and I want to address some of this before we take a look at the ad itself. So. But less is more, absolutely. In graphic design, this is your mantra. Less is more. Always, always less works. Less is more always works. As a minimalist designer myself, I've been practicing this minimalist uh, design for a couple of decades now, and there's no turning back. I find it to be so much more effective. Clients respond better. You get better results. Marketing attempts are increased with simplicity and advertising. So the formula really works. And this all points to what's called Hick's law. And basically Hick's law is, in its relationship to graphic design, states that really that every time you, and whenever you add something to what's already there, it takes away from what's already there. So in other words, if you were, I think 3 images is good, but if you were to add 2 more images, the viewer would not be able to remember anything. So the theory is that the more you add, the more it takes away from what's already there. So again, pointing to minimalism as a design concept. This is a good, what I'm getting out of this paragraph here is that you're really thinking about everything that you do in the composition, and that's fantastic. There are no arbitrary decisions in design. Everything is there for a reason, and the reason always points to conceptual development and designer methodology. And that's very, very important. And that's what I'm getting out of this paragraph here. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't seem like you made a move here without considering how it affects the entire ad. And I'm pointing specifically really to your decision to replace this masked image of the couple and put them on a different background. And I think that's smart. From the reasoning, from the sand on her feet and why it wouldn't fit in this image, all the way to changing the background to something with more of a level background. That's all good stuff, Elizabeth. That's all really good stuff. And it tells me and shows me that you're considering all aspects of the ad before making the decision to use those elements in your ad. That's fantastic. For example, if this had a background, the horizon were crooked in this image, my recommendation would be to change it. Why? Because that little crooked horizon is going to add a very uncomfortable visual tension to the viewer. It the viewer can't look at a crooked horizon and be comfortable with it. That's just not how things work. I mean, it's the same thing as seeing an airplane on the ground with no wheels, with the wheels up. It just doesn't work. Our minds don't accept it. It's like, this isn't right. It doesn't work. It's making me tense. It's making me uncomfortable. So I think your decision to change that to a level uh, uh, horizon is just really a fantastic idea. So again, really impressed with your writing and your written reactions to the assignment. So please keep that up moving through the class, and not only for this class, for all of your classes as well. Consider sharing as much information you can in your submission as you can, describing your experience with any given assignment. Okay, enough of that, right? Let's go ahead and jump right over to the ad. I've got the JPEG up right here, so this will resize beautifully. We'll fit that in the window. Excellent. Okay, I think it's a great ad. I really do. Whenever a student talks about using more than 1 or 2 images in an ad, I immediately start thinking to myself, okay, we got to reel it in here. Because as you can imagine, but before students really get a good grasp on the marketing approach to this and what works and what doesn't, a lot of students want to try to depict every possible activity associated with the client's resort that it's possible. So we have pictures of scuba diving, horseback, mountain climbing, beach combing, swimming, spa, eating, drinking, dancing. And that, as you can imagine, that adds too much clutter, and it just really doesn't support the message as expeditiously as simplicity does. So, and I think we got that here. The 3 images are great. There's no chance that the viewer can look at this and think that maybe one part of the ad is different than the other, or a lot of times magazine pages share ads, but we don't have that here. I think the relationship between this image and this image clearly connect this whole page. So there's no, you're not in jeopardy of the viewer looking at this thinking maybe this is a separate ad than this. Okay, so I guess what I'm saying is that the ad itself has a very high degree of harmony. One thing I would recommend, or one thing I will comment on, is this image here is not quite as harmonious based on the color palette as these two are. And I think that there's something you can do here. You can come in here and select the towels. All right, this is a little bit advanced, but follow me on this if you can. And you can do some Google tutorial search for changing the color of an object in Photoshop. But what you would end up doing is selecting this, the towels, make a really clean selection on the towels, then adding an adjustment layer to the selection. So thereby you can change the color of the towels. And I think that you might consider more towards the blue-green spectrum for this particular color of the towels. Try it, see how it works. It might work, it might not. Who knows? Let's try it. There's only one way to find out. It's not terrible. It's not ruining the ad by any means, but I think it could be a little more harmonious had this image had a color palette that was a little bit more closely associated with these two. I think we're looking really good here. Just a couple of recommendations. Right now, your type is really close to a no print zone. I'm not comfortable with that margin at all. I think you're too close. Plus, the right margin here is much thicker or much more wider than the left margin. So we're going to move that in a little bit, which will entail having to reduce the size of the logo. So you're going to reduce the size of the logo just a little bit, and then we're going to pull this in, and you might as well just span it, align it with the F in fall. Okay, and you're close enough here that but I don't want to sound like that has to be an alignment. It really doesn't. I think if you want to keep this relationship where it's just outside the right margin, then that's fine too. But anything, just get that closer out of that no print zone. If you want to preserve the right and left margin, that's great too. Just make sure you draw a guide there. This whole type will start right there, not the address, and then this logo would end at a guide that aligns with the end. The contact information, again, pull this in and pull this in. It's too close to the edge of the page. You might even decide to set that in purple. Romance, that black right there is advancing. That's a full intensity black, so it's advancing a little bit. I'm talking about the headline, not the body copy. So what you might do is select that type there and go with a really dark gray and not pure black. Just go with a dark gray. That will allow that to recede in a little bit in the composition, so it doesn't look like it's on a different focal plane. Other than that, I'm down. I think this is fantastic. It's a really, really good job. You should be proud of yourself. This is very, very good work. Okay, so at this point, if you can make those changes, that'd be great. Run it by me. I'll be glad to provide additional comments and critique. You can post it right here, repost it here when you're done making the adjustments. You can email it to me. You can post it in the general questions area, whatever is most convenient for you. But I would like to make some final comments on this before you include it in your final campaign coming up here in week 7. So I guess what I'm saying is if you might make changes, want to run them by me, have at it. But try to make those changes before we get started on the banner ad, right, which is next week. So that makes sense. So this should be complete, so that you can use attributes from this ad to move forward to your banner ad. All right, great job, thank you. Most important thing at this point is to get with me if you have any questions at all. All right, great job, thank you very much.